Good evening once again, Summoners, and welcome back to the Bacchus Pro Gaming Series 2017 Summer Split. Drive your energy, of course. Before anything else, we are going to be introducing ourselves as Yo Casters, Arctic at Yo Service Fam, and of course with me is Atlas. And wow, oh wow, match 3 we go into.
Of course, TNC versus Team Manila Eagles. This is kind of like the highlight of the night for today, seeing these two teams face off against each other. Of course, looking at our schedule, I mean, this is our last match for today, but let's review everything that's happened for today. Coming into our schedule, of course. In match 1, of course, it was a very good fight between those two teams. And coming into this match 3, it's like the culmination we have for today. All the discussions we had for our teams, definitely something that we have to pay attention to. How much they've grown since the start of the split, how much improvement they've had, how much they've patched up their weaknesses. It's very important to look at that. But of course, looking at the standings as well of these two teams, it's very important to look at the standings for TNC as well as Team Manila Eagles. Of course, TME 15 points, way ahead of everyone else. 10-0. We'll see if that will break today. We'll see if TNC can actually take away one win from them, make them bleed. As for TNC, they are sitting at 4 points, so they are very incentivized to work hard to get more points so they can actually have a chance to go into playoffs.
Yeah, and despite being at 4 points, technically speaking, they're the team with the least amount of games played thus far. So there's a lot of ground that they could cover to really get to the playoffs. There's just so much space. Of course, it'll all depend starting off with the game against TME.
Definitely. And of course, we are running the share and win promo for you guys. We'll be giving you a hashtag code, and all you have to do once you see the hashtag code around there, what you're going to do is just share it on your timeline, the hashtag, and then the stream link, whether it's the Facebook link on our official PGS FB page or the YouTube stream, which is gaming.youtube.com/phgarena/live. It has to have both the hashtag and the YouTube or FB link, as well as be shared publicly, and then you will get a chance to win one of 5 mystery gifts.
Yes, and of course, aside from that, we also do have the PGS Digital Fan Art Contest. Of course, all you have to do is just create a digital art, not the traditional, it has to be digital. That consists of 1 player per team. Of course, we have a 9,000 RP prize pool for this. Well, of course, for more details, all you have to do is just visit esports.garena.ph/PGS, look for the article, and art away you go.
All the details and mechanics for that will be there. So if you have any questions, there should be some answers already there for you guys. But of course, let's get into the drafting phase between TNC Pro Team versus Team Manila Eagles. Seeing our pick and ban already, the Shen already locked away from JLC.
Yeah, I mean, JLC, when you think of who potentially would be the best Shen player in the Philippines, I'd definitely peg it on JLC. So, I mean, wow. Not to mention, I just have to bring this up real quick, because this is a team that we usually see kind of switcheroo with the roster. So TNC Endless Ace is going to be playing mid lane, subbing in for Hayes for this first game, because we do see him in a lot of roles. So I just needed to point that out.
Endless Ace is a very flexible, versatile player, and that's really one of the reasons a lot of people respect him as a professional player of League of Legends. As for the bans here, Lux actually respect ban against Endless Ace. You will not usually see a ban against Lux in any pro play.
Not at all.
Unless it's a huge respect ban, and then Endless Ace is definitely pulling that much respect. As well, Lando locked away from the Fiora. As for, yeah, it seems like JLC, a lot of tanks banned away from the Sejuani and the Shen, and the Threshold ban out against Rox. We saw how much impact Rox has when paired with Marky with that Thresh, but they didn't ban out the Xayah. That's scary.
I mean, who knows, maybe, I mean, Xayah, sure, she does have a few nerfs, but so far, that's what from what we've been seeing from TME. Yes, so very strong, and Marky doesn't seem deterred at all. It doesn't really affect the overall picture as to how godly he is on the Xayah. But
they might be banking on the safety of the Caitlyn here. The danger is they're leaving a lot of other power picks open. They're leaving the Galio open and the Zac open. That's huge. You're leaving those 2 picks open. We're going to see how they respond to that, if they have a game plan for it, because leaving both Galio and Zac open is just a death sentence.
Exactly. I mean, 2 of the most OP champions as of this patch. Crazy, man. But there we go. It looks like the Gragas and the Trundle, in fact, going to be locked in for TNC.
The Trundle might be a tech pick against the Galio. It is a tank, and then Trundle just loves eating up tanks. As for the second row of bans, it is going to be the Zed Cassiopeia for TNC and the Syndra Karma for TME. So they have the priority for picks here for the second phase of the pick. So they ban out Karma, they take away the Lulu. So TNC is left with less optimal supports, but they might just go for the Zyra.
Oh, wow. And you know what's really interesting here is normally I wouldn't be as interested in seeing what teams will pull out to counter a Galio, but considering that this is Endless Ace, I consider Endless Ace one of the prime tacticians-ish of the PGS. So that being said, given this draft, I mean, they did take the risk of opening that Galio. I'm pretty sure that they estimated that. So
for the top lane.
Yeah.
Because Galio isn't really a characteristically Trevor champion, right? It's the same thing when Light played the Galio, it wasn't very characteristic of him to play such. So having that means that, of course, they're probably going to give the tank to JLC, while Trevor will go to a more high damage, high assassination champion like this Ahri. So far, the composition seems very, very solid. And looking at our matchup here, High versus Marky, everything in Marky's favor. 7.1 KDA, very, very safe. GPM is double of High's because of how much support system his team has for him, and CS per minute twice as well.
Oh,
so
man.
High is really up for a hard time there in bot lane. We'll see if the team synergy will be enough to actually pull through. These are two bird teams fighting it out.
Yeah, I mean, there we go. Of course, we do have both compositions locked in. Of course, let us know who you guys are supporting. Hashtag TNC win or hashtag TME win as we head into the action in just a little bit. But yeah, that action, I'm anticipating how this will play out for both sides here. Because, again, the Galio in itself just being left open. I mean, I've been pegging this Casper. It's like you have a higher chance of winning just because of the hero's entrance in itself is huge, not to mention just everything overall. But of course, we'll just have to see how this transitions for both TNC and Team Manila Eagles. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, as we head into the third matchup for Game 1 of Week 4 of Day 1 of the Bacchus Pro Gaming Series, Drive Yo Energy against TNC Pro Team versus Team Manila Eagles. And there we go, on to Summoner's Rift we go as we find out whether or not TME will be able to continue their undefeated streak, or will finally TNC not only end that, but also establish themselves one step closer to potentially going into playoffs.
Yeah, if they get at least one win against TME, that's momentum. And they're also setting themselves as the first one to make TME bleed.
Oh,
so really the question is, which bird will soar, TNC or the Team Manila Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, but going into the rotations that we're seeing, I mean, looks like both junglers will be starting opposite sides of the map.
Yeah, it seems like their focus will be on opposite sides. It's also just the really convenient way to clear as those champions. They are more effective when they start Raptors.
Yes.
And Raptor start anyway is very, very versatile. Even if you start Raptors, you can have a very versatile gank path, whether mid, top, or bot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you could transition to well, generally near would be red buff, but then again, because of that flexibility that you have, of course, it all depends on how both Coops and Burst will be playing this out. And technically speaking, I mean, Burst thus far has had quite a ball, has been really dominant.
I want to see the leash on Coops. I want to see the leash on that Raptor camp for the top, for that side, because that is delicious. You see already that Coops has a lot of AoE with Unstable Matter, and then JLC with the Winds of War, and then Trevor with the Orb of Deception. That's a really solid leash for Coops.
And not just the leash, but looking at the composition in general, Marky running the Saya. So, I mean, it's already tricky enough that you give a Galio and a Zac to TME. Round that up with the fact that you're giving probably one of the best champions for Marky, one of the champions that he has most success on to date. That's going to be pretty tricky. Even Trevor on this Ari, actually, he's had a great performance on
Very
this.
comfortable on this champion indeed. So it's very scary for TNC knowing that they let 2 pocket picks and 2 power picks through. Actually, no, 3 power picks through. The top lane, jungle, and support are all power picks. Of course, with a top lane, they have Lando and a tech pick against JLC. Trundle can definitely beat down that Galio, that Gargoyle very, very hard in lane. And even later in the game when skirmishes and team fights start. But still, having those picks come through might be very difficult when it comes to when the mid game and late game start.
Oh, definitely. And overall, this will definitely put TNC to the ultimate test here. They left so many champions open, a lot acquired for TME right here. If they win this game, I'd be very, very impressed. But there we go, JLC actually getting a chunk, almost half.
That's the beating that you naturally get from Trundle. And wow, Trundle is such a great pick against Galio. Because it's like this. If you're again in a losing matchup, you want to freeze the lane, right? You cannot do that as Galio. It's impossible to do it as Galio. You naturally push no matter what you do. Of course, the only thing that you can do is be behind like one entire wave at 3 minutes, which is substantial.
And like historically speaking, I'm very confident with how Lando plays this Trundle. This is actually the champion that allowed TNC to defend their slot going into the 2017 summer split.
Ooh. Being able to play that in promos and relegations and survive through it because of that pick. Because I remember Lando wrecking faces, eating their faces off with that Trundle. But in here, it seems like it's really doing well against that Galio pick.
And especially, you have to consider the fact that during that promotionals, Lando was actually very behind in the early phase. But later on, transition into the mid and late game, whether it be split pushing, again, providing that armor shred for his team. Yeah. There's just so many ways he could work with his Trundle that TME themselves, I feel like they have to work around this.
It might be dangerous for JLC. He'll get spotted already. That is just going to be a little bit of CC onto him. I don't think they can confirm the kill here. Not enough lockdown to actually take him down, but this does force him to recall. Cubs might be looking for something. That's the thing. Even though Lando can wreck face there in the top lane, you have to pay attention. Rox is still on that really powerful Lulu, and Cubs might still be looking for something on this really almost OP Zac. They are closing in with a minion wave, but I don't think... Actually, they are going for the dive there in the bot lane. You can see that Endless Ace and Burst are making their way down to the bot lane. First blood actually goes on to Marky. High, almost being taken down. There's 4 members here. JLC teleported down, actually. Endless Ace goes for the flash, but Rock still gets taken down. Coops will be next. He has the cell division, but it's still going to be 3 members wailing onto GLC. Can Marky get out enough damage to finish off Endless Ace? He does have the Sanguine Pool almost ready under transfusion. Coops gets taken down finally. Here comes Trevor, not yet level 6. Cannot get any more kills than that.
Oh, man. Oh,
actually going for it. Flash in with the Ignite. Gets a really good kill against High, and now it's going to be 3 members against 2 here in the bot lane. Seems like they will have to back off.
Very interesting start for both teams right there. I mean, the action... In fact, what's really interesting here is that...
Oh, they're going for it. Orthrus is still full health, so this might be super dangerous. JLC dies for no reason. They might have been a little overconfident there.
Yeah, definitely. But nonetheless, I gotta peg it on TME as coming off onto better. Let's go ahead and check out what happened here, though, in the bot lane. So we got a great initiate there from Twister. But then again, fighting under turret at this point. So very, very tricky for TME. If anything, I feel like they were in a more dangerous position. But here we go. We get the teleport response from Londo, as well as a great, again, Endless Ace actually getting there earlier, able to kind of make sure that TNC gets onto equal footing with TME here, because TME was killing on the ball here. So at the end of the day, Trevor actually coming in, although there have been a few casualties suffered by TME, but overall I gotta peg it TME coming up at the better end. But
Trevor in trouble. He doesn't have any flash, but here comes Coops trying to save, actually rescues him. Is going to be the kill going again onto Trevor, because Burst got absolutely denied there with the stretching strikes.
Man, TME really performing at this point. I mean, I gotta hand it to them. Like I was saying, if anything, TME actually played that bot lane gang a bit riskier, because they're the one that initiated, in fact, fighting under turret. So the fact that they're the ones that still came up a few bits of gold up top. Yeah. It's actually quite commendable. So plus the fact that even right now, double kill for Trevor on a champion that he's very, very efficient at, and in fact, very scary as we've seen in previous games. This is something that TNC has to take into account right here. This is an opponent they cannot take lightly, and it's not the same scenario wherein Burst could really just go all out, because during previous games, he's had a ball with all these ganks, but right now they have to play it a little bit more calculated.
Yeah, because Cubs was right on the ball there in the mid lane counter gank, saves Trevor, and then gives him a double kill. That's a huge boost, and that puts him a lot closer to Morello Nomicon, which means Endless Ace will have a much harder time sustaining in the lane. And especially, the most important thing that's happened in the game is that, so far, is that because of the aggressiveness of TME, Marquee got a double kill, rather, first blood and then another kill on top of that, which puts him already pretty far in terms of itemization compared to High. At this point, they have pretty equal, rather, 2 waves above High, plus a kill above High. That should amount to around a pickaxe's worth of value.
And with all said and done, this only actually hastens TME's win conditions and their strengths to the teeth. Like we mentioned, once you get both Trevor and Marquee going, it's completely mind-boggling to think just how crazy these clashes could go. And with JLC and Goops to just kind of allow them that flexibility to just go crazy in these clashes, because they have a pretty solid front line and a lot of disruptors in the form of Galio and Zac. It's just crazy. And TNC, you know, they really need to try to get back into this game in a jiffy, because if not, considering the great footwork that TME has with this start, I'd say that they're coming up at the better end of the spectrum.
The thing is, though, TNC's composition can play from behind with the safety of the Caitlyn and the Zyra being able to deal lots of damage even when behind if you're pushing onto her, as well as Lando being able to steal stats from either JLC or Coops. So they have a few ways to rubber band into this game, but they have to play it correctly. And there's a lot of pressure onto Burst, because he caused his mid laner to die there earlier, and then both of them died, giving the double kill onto Trevor. So the pressure is definitely still there, always having to really be careful around Coops.
Yeah, but I gotta hand it to Burst nonetheless. This is the same proactive play that we've been seeing him from previous games past. It's just unfortunate that it didn't really result to anything significant that propels TNC into a better lead. But then again, this is TME that they're facing, the top seed, for a very good reason right now as of our current split. So I feel that whatever... Oh, that's not the way of a fight.
Whoops, might be going for something. Let's Bounce actually misses. But still, burning the flash onto High, and they have some bit of pressure here in the bot lane, but of course the Archunk down have to back off. Must be careful.
Yeah, I mean, TME, with that lead that they have, I definitely don't doubt the confidence right now with the place that they're trying to make here. You know, Cubs taking a more active stance as far as trying to get ganks on, trying to get Marquee or even Trevor 26 all the more ahead, working with the leads that they have, working to the strengths of their composition, and what might be pretty chaotic for TNC later on during the later phases of the game.
Of course, the trade-off here is that Burst has a lot more time to counter jungle against Cubs. So that does put him, like, he should be around 40% through level 7 right now, while Coops just reached level 6, or rather level 7 from the Raptor camp on TNC side. So that is the advantage that he has, because Coops is focused so much on ganking his lanes. But for so far, it's really paying off more on Coops' side than Burst's.
Definitely. I mean, with...
Look at the dive, though. JLC is so mobile with a Justice Punch. Oh, gets cancelled by the explosive cast. And actually, Lando gets a teleport onto elsewhere because he expects that the 2-man gang coming from Trevor and Coops will be arriving.
Oh man, that was a great teleport right there. No second thoughts at all. Predicting very well that Trevor and Coops was going to go for that response. So I like how Lando was kind of 2 steps ahead right there.
Yeah. He knew that, okay, they're coming to the top lane. I have to get out of here. Beam me up, Scotty. Beam me up, Scotty, to the mid lane. Then he makes his escape. Very clean coming from this TNC onto the gank here. But what was the trade-off? Coops, they wasted Coops' time going to the top lane, which is something. So that's actually a free kill onto Lando. And you said how impactful Lando's trundle was.
Exactly. And with that being said, though, still, you do deter the meat shields for TME here. Again, like I mentioned, although, there we have a fight.
Look at that. I couldn't even play-by-play that.
Yeah,
that happened in like less than a second.
I know, that was great. I didn't expect that. I was kind of composing my thoughts there, but there we go. We have another kill going on to Trevor. 4-0-1 now on this Ari. Indeed, a huge threat.
And then another one onto Marky as well. So the kill distribution here, all of the kills are on carries.
Yeah, and
for TME.
That was actually the point that I was about to make. Sure, you get a gank onto JLC, but the bigger question is that the person that you want to try to get your ganks on? Is that the type of champion you actually want to get behind? Because
that is going to be the power of the stretching strikes. Burst has to burn his ultimate here with almost no resources burned on the side of TME, but they do trade that off for the top lane turret.
Oh, man.
And that is the second turret of the game.
But yeah, with all said and done, I mean, if you're going to look at it, is GLC really the target that you want to set behind? Especially with as a Galio. But there we go, we have the taunt going on.
The lockdown onto Endless Ace means that he cannot Sanguine pull right out of there.
Oh man, I love the transition of that taunt going into the charm. That was absolutely beautiful. Not allowing.
There's going to be more fights. It doesn't seem like Kups has any targets to disrupt them with his stretching strikes, but they are still going for it. Marky at full health. Might be very dangerous though. Orthrus deals a lot of damage. And they have to back off from that. Look at the damage that Lando brings to that top lane second-tier turret.
Oh man, but overall, you know,
let's
Lando really pulling down. Yeah, let's go ahead and check out what happened here. Hai actually caught in a very tricky position there, like ultimate focus fire there from both Trevor and Marky. So really crazy.
That's the burst that you get from a Saya, as well as a Trevor backing him up with an extra rotation of spells. That was just game over for the bot lane, and they are both very squishy champions.
And this is a very tricky situation for Bruce. I couldn't actually blame him for going for a gank onto JLC, because if you're going to look at how hard it is to gank the other lanes at this point, considering how Trevor only needs the Spirish Rush way out if ever he does get ganked by Burst. On the other hand, for the bot lane, Marky has a lot of utility from rocks, and then if all said and done, all he could do is just ultimate, yeah, exactly, to just avoid the CC coming in from TNC. So Burst really isn't left with many options here as far as getting ganked.
Also, yeah, it's also still very hard to gank JLC. He has damage reduction, he has the CC to really deter you from killing him, the tankiness, plus he has a little bit of mobility from the Justice Punch. Of course, there is counterplay, you can block it, but that's also one of the reasons why I think Galio is overpowered. He has mobility, he has tankiness, he has peel, he has engage. And the peel and his engage are in one package, so it's really so overpowered, and TME has been using it very well.
Yeah.
Of course, he has been ganked a lot, but the tankiness means that Burst spends a lot of time trying to take him down. So that leaves Trevor open to roam bot lane.
I actually like that point that you brought up there, because it was clearly demonstrated on that, in terms of that kill that they got onto GLC.
They're going to summon the Rift Herald there in the top lane. Might be very dangerous.
Ooh, and I don't think Orthos and Hai is really in the position right now to fend that off.
Seems like they're just going to take the Rift Herald here to the top lane. Maybe they'll summon it here. Maybe Kups will get more value from the powered recall. But looking at the state of this top lane right now, it's very possible for them to summon it after taking down this first turret.
Oh man, this is really, I've been talking about how this is the ultimate test for TNC, and with very good reason, because right now, for most of the very successful games that they've had, it's mostly because Burst has been proactively ganking, resulting to successful kills onto the enemy team. So now that Burst is kind of forced into a position wherein nothing really happens
for something. Actually, does not get the kidnap onto Burst, does knock him back quite a bit, but that's just an ultimate burn by Kups there.
There we go. Still 4-8 on the scoreboard right now. But yeah, as I've been saying, at the end of the day, sure they did get a gank onto JLC, but if you're going to look at who the people you really want to try to shut down, being the Ari and the Saya, that's a threat that TNC needs to try to deal with going into these bigger clashes. And here we go, Rift Herald.
Let's look at this demolition job. Bam! That is going to be TME, another turret on their side, but they're just leaving the Rift Herald alone. I think he will still be able to get a little bit of damage onto that. Not a lot, but this leaves them open to take this Cloud Drake.
Yeah, transitioning into objective, very good onto TME. The decisiveness is definitely there.
It's not the optimal Drake, it is Cloud Drake. So the boost isn't too big in terms of gold value and stats, but having that move speed for Trevor, for Marky, and for Kups is definitely big for them to be able to rotate around and outplay and outsmart TNC a lot more.
I definitely agree with you there. And that being said, for TNC at this point, it's just so tricky because the only person that's really okay as far as standing right now, I'd peg it onto Lando, but everybody else really needs to pull this weight. Again, this is a scenario wherein I'm actually interested in seeing if TNC has a plan B that they could put into effect, because most of the plans that have really worked out for them to great success is, again, Burst really getting all the lanes going by going for successful, these unexpected surprise ganks. But since that didn't happen, this is technically where the other members of TNC should be pulling their weight and not rely on Burst that much. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's because, you know, Burst, his power comes from unexpected ganks. And that's one of the powers of Gragas. But who does unexpected ganks better than Gragas? Zach. So it's definitely something that they have to be careful for.
Yeah, and at this point, like, going into the 5v5s, I'm not really sure TNC could deal with that right now, because there's just so much power, there's just so much clash power with TME's composition. Not only that, they have so much protection for their carries that I don't think any of the members could just really go full on, and even Endless Ace on this Vladimir to an extent.
Look at that, the restraint, not to charm just yet, but Endless Ace does have the Ghost. I think he will be able to just escape from this. Actually going to try and fight it. Ignite actually has all of his health regeneration. Trevor now unstoppable.
Oh,
so this leaves his bot lane a lot more open to just be attacked. And you know how Marky kills these turrets so fast with the deadly plumage. Here comes the fight though. Marky gonna be the target, but he's still doing quite a lot of damage. Ult is still available for Rox. Actually, the bottom sub cancels the elastic slingshot. Look at all the damage from the Stranglethorns onto Rox and Marky, but he's still recovering health from the Warlord's Bloodlust. That damage though onto Orcross has to flash away, respecting the power of that Blade Caller. And look at that, the backline still being assaulted by the tanks of TME, while Lando has to run away from an angry Marky. It's going to be Burst also being taken down high. Now alone here, it is just going to be Endless Ace trying to catch up to him. But because Taunt Flash coming from JLC almost seals his death, but this is also going to be the tombstone for this bot lane turret.
Oh man, this is going south way too fast for TNC. And the tricky part is, I'm not even sure if TNC knows how to respond in these type of scenarios wherein they're just kind of, again, all across the board, objectives, kills, giving the win conditions to TME. Actually, it's all working in TME's favor right now. That this is, like I mentioned, this is a true test for TNC as to whether or not they could go for other plans wherein where the ultimate plan for them, which has been working for them in previous games, ultimately fails for them.
And this is like in video games, when in RPGs specifically, when the game throws at you the final boss when you're halfway through the game just to show how powerful they are. This is kind of like what TNC is experiencing right now. They are being beaten down by TME with almost no chance of winning. And if they do get to playoffs, this is what their final boss would be. Because right now, I don't think there are any teams that can come close to the 15 points that TME has. Well, TNC really needs to break their backs to even get into playoffs.
And it's really hard to peg where exactly TNC went wrong, because I feel like there's just so many angles you could look at here. Right down to the pick and ban phase. The fact that you opened 2 OP champions in the form of Galio and Zac.
Yeah.
Not to mention prime champions for both Trevor and Marky in the form of the Ahri and
then the Lulu. They just gave away every single power pick available for TME.
So that being said, I'm not really sure what they were going for here right up. I mean, I do understand. I like the Trundle pick. It's just that I feel that as far as trying to last it out, going into the mid game, that's something that they really weren't able to exploit.
Trundle pick isn't enough, but it is going to be Burst being taken out. Look at that giant cook, just going to continue being locked down. Burst actually survives through that. TNC High actually takes out the tank for TME. Now TME on the run. Trevor going for a flank. He doesn't have Spirit Rush any longer. Marky isn't here, but now he is. He might be able to deal enough damage to scare away TNC at this point, and Trevor might be a little bit of danger here being away from the rest of his team, but this is a possible pincer attack if they play it right. It's Marky just constantly pulling it out here. He does not have the Blade Caller, but does have enough damage from his auto attacks to just take out High here. Look at that, just constant double kills here, left and right. Lando now under duress. JLC can just go on almost with the Winds of War, but I think Trevor has enough boost speed to catch up to him.
Yautza, and that just, again, 6 to 15 right now in favor of TME.
0 for 3.
That was crazy. Not to mention the fact that we're talking about an 8,000 goal difference at more than 20 minutes into the game. That's insane. And TNC in total command right now.
Definitely. And TME just commanding the game. And even at 21 minutes, 38 seconds, they are getting this Baron buff very, very decisively because, yeah, TNC has no chance to contest this. And even if they try to, they'll just get annihilated by TME.
Oh, man. At this point of the game, TME just really flexing muscles right now. And what really concerns me is that what proactive steps will TNC do going into the next game? Because
they can't really.
Yeah, because looking at this game, there's not really much that they could do anymore with the heavy lead that TME. They kind of need to rely on a huge mess up from TME, which I highly doubt will happen.
Yeah, because TME has been playing very clean games for the entire split, and I don't think they'll mess up randomly now.
No,
and the thing is that TNC, they're forced into this reactive state. It's very hard for this kind of composition, of course, when you're so behind. Of course, when you're even, being reactive is okay. You have the strangle force, you have the explosive cast, you have the ultimate coming from the trundle. So all of it is very possible to play from a little bit behind or from even. But when you're 10,000 gold behind at 22 minutes, you just kind of recuperate, sit down in a corner, and then think, what did I do wrong? Okay, it was the drafting. We let them have 5 power pits.
Exactly, and I don't know, going into the next one, although I kind of understand where TNC is coming from with going into draft, because looking at the members of TME, this is exactly why they are the first seed in the current summer split. It's because of that fact that it's so hard to ban out just one member.
Yeah.
It's so tricky because all of these players are superstars on Team 1.
But when I look at the pick and ban phase, if the fact is they're very hard to ban out, then you might as well ban out generic OP bans such as the Galio and Zac, or even one of their most prominent pick, which is the Xayah.
I agree with you there most strongly, and
even the Lulu should have been banned out.
True. I mean, the fact that you're giving power picks to an already strong team, it's absolutely mind-blowing in a sense. And again, it all comes down to this pick and ban right here. TNC going into the next game, again, like you did mention, that's actually a good insight right there, wherein they might need to consider it on just banning out the generic OPs. That technically even...
Wow, look at JLC doing a lot of damage to Trevor onto Lando. Spirit Rush is burned for the next minute or so, but look at all that pressure from the Baron buff here in the top lane.
And the tricky part here is Lando couldn't really do much. I mean, Triacy might, his presence doesn't really phase the members, both Trevor and JLC.
He can't even deal a lot onto JLC, even with his ultimate.
Exactly. And it's just the respect for the lead that TME has right now. But
Marky is legendary. He might be able to survive with a wild growth against High. He has a lot of shields on him. Endless Ace is going to try and finish off the kill, but the hero's entrance will give him a little bit of damage reduction. Still going for this turret. Actually almost takes him down, but he takes out the turret and then gets out of dodge. Cope's going to try and take out the members along with Trevor. Cell division is available for him. Trevor actually gets more kills, double kill. Has to run away from Endless Ace. Might go for something. Lando's still very, very tanky, but as 4 members against 2, I don't think they can take this fight. Trevor's legendary. Marky actually recovered back to half health after being at like 5 HP with a Warlord's Bloodlust. I don't think Orthros is enough to actually defend against 5 members who are baroned up. These death timers are quite long, 10 seconds, and look at how fast they're gonna kill Orthros as well. No mercy at all coming from the Manila Eagles. They are soaring right now. The turrets aren't falling too quickly. High might be able to get something out of here. Burst as well, but it's already the Nexus exposed rather. Will High and Burst be enough to actually defend their Nexus? It doesn't seem like it. JLC is definitely a scary, scary frontliner, and all the damage comes from Marky. Secures this first win with a huge goal lead, with a decisive, commanding victory from TME.
Wow. I mean...
Oh boy.
I'll be honest, I actually wasn't expecting that to an extent, because I had such high expectations of TNC. They've been performing, for me, they've been performing really well as of the recent split. In fact, probably even better than they're probably the best I've seen of them yet. It's just that when you're going up against a team such as TME, you really have to...
Final boss.
Yeah, final boss right there. You know, you really have to think to the T. And again, at the end, I have to heavily agree with you right there. When you're going up against a team such as TME in the pick and ban phrase right off the bat, the best way to go would probably just ban out the generic OPs.
as well as superstars. Like, of course, the Orianna and Syndra, definitely something you can ban out against Trevor, but he still has the Ari, and it's still going to beat you down, no matter what he's playing, whether it's on Syndra. So just ban out the most powerful picks, and that is the Zac and Galio. Because Trevor is going to wreck, Marky is going to wreck no matter who you ban, but it's of course still a good insurance to ban out the Xayah. You could also have banned out the Lulu, because you should have read it when they banned out the Karma that they will pick the Lulu first.
Exactly, and I don't know, TNC really needs to rethink how they go about that pick and ban, because otherwise going into game 2, if they're not able to remedy that, then it really might spell trouble for them. It might be another repeat, but of course, hopefully that won't be the case. Considering that they do have Endless Ace, like I mentioned, I kind of peg him as the master tactician for TNC, so maybe they'll be able to make those type of adjustments.
Yeah.
I still have high hopes.
It's definitely something, the pressure is still onto them, but it's also a bit relief. They are facing against TME, so it's understandable if they lose. I'm not saying that, oh, they're definitely going to lose, but it's understandable if they do, and really impressive if they actually get one win against TME, and they have the potential to do it.
Definitely.
Under the leadership of the master tactician, Endless Ace.
Of course, we'll just have to see if that transitions later on as we head into our final game of the day. But of course, for the meantime, we have been your casters, Arctic, at your service. And of course, with me is Vulcan. Stay tuned as we head into our final game between TNC and TME. But for the meantime, don't go away.
Orcross has to flash away, respecting the power of that Blade Caller. And look at that, the black backline still being assaulted by the tanks of TME, while Lando has to run away from an angry Marky. It's going to be Burst also being taken down high. Now alone here, this is going to be Endless Ace trying to catch up to him. And just Conquest coming from TLC, almost kills his giant cook. Just going to continue being locked up. Burst actually survived through that. TNC High actually takes out the tank for TNT. Now TNT on the run. Trevor going for a flank. He doesn't have Spirit Rush any longer. Marky isn't here, but now he is. He might be able to deal enough damage to scare away TNC at this point. And Trevor might be in a little bit of danger here, being away from the rest of us. Just constantly pulling it out here. He does not have the Blade Caller, but does have enough damage. All his auto attacks just out high here. Look at that. Constant double kill here, left and right. Lando now under duress. TLC almost with a Winds of War. But I think Trevor legendary. Yeah, he might be able to survive with a wild growth against High. He has a lot of shields on him. Endless Ace is going to try and finish off the kill, but the Hero's Entrance will give him a little bit of damage reduction. Still going for the turret. Actually almost takes him down, but he takes out the turret and then gets out of dodge. Crumb's going to try and take out the members along with Trevor. Cell Division is available for him. Trevor actually gets more kills, double kill, has to run away from Endless Ace. Might go for something. Lando's still very, very tanky, but as more members against two, I don't think they can take this fight. Trevor is legendary. Marky actually recovers back to half health after being all fighting with the Vanilla Eagles. They are soaring right now. Turrets aren't falling too quickly. High might be able to get something out of your burst as well, but is already the Nexus exposed rather. Will High burst be enough to actually defend their Nexus? Doesn't seem like it. JLC's definitely a scary frontliner, and all the damage coming from Marky secures his first win with a huge goal lead, with a decisive, commanding victory.